And in our top business story, Emaar and Dubai Holding unveiled early today the first luxury residential project in Dubai Creek Harbour at the Lagoons. The 40-storey Dubai Creek residences will offer 1, 2 and 3 bedroom luxury apartments on the waterfront. It is part of a 6-tower cluster within the island district of the Dubai Creek Harbour at the Lagoons, a joint venture between Dubai Holding and Emaar Properties. Dubai Holding CEO Ahmed bin Biat says the Dubai Creek Harbour is a historic development that aligns the future goals of the city, led by its visionary leadership. Through this project, they are bringing the city back to the city and providing residents a lifestyle choice. Only minutes away from the Ras Al Khor Bird Sanctuary, the master-planned city is spread over a land area of 6 million square meters and will have interconnected districts, state-of-the-art technology, integrated transport systems, environmentally sustainable ecosystems, retail, commercial and residential zones, as well as green open parks. It will also feature the Dubai Twin Towers, an iconic mixed-use development billed to be the tallest of its kind in the world. Emaar Chairman Mohammed Al-Abbar said it is only fitting to have this project located along the Dubai Creek, since it is the cradle of the city's heritage and the lifeline that steered Dubai's growth.
The most famous cities are really on the river or on the beach. So this is how the city of Dubai started, and that's where I grew up, right? That's where I learned how to swim. And then we left it, and then we all gone out of town, which is good. It has grown. But it's nice to come back and do something really magnificent, something that's modern, that's reflect the lifestyle and the way the city of Dubai is going to reflect itself, to the years to come. And it's a wonderful opportunity to have the size. I mean, this thing is almost 3 times the size of downtown Dubai. So for us to put our teeth into something like this would be fabulous with all the stuff that we've done well there. Plus, maybe we have some mistakes, so we try to avoid them when we do this. And with technology have changed everything. So it will be a fabulous opportunity. If you look at the green space that we are creating in this development, beside the waterfront that we have, if you look at all the new material we are using when it comes to basically not only installation, but type of material for energy saving, it's really tremendous. The type of technology we're going to use for the whole society when it comes to traffic management system, the sewage system, the garbage collection system. Everybody's so advanced in their thinking now that I think really when it comes to it will all help the goals of sustainability looking into the future.
The development of the Dubai Creek Harbour will be carried out in phases. The first residential project is directly set by the Dubai Creek and overlooking the city's landscape. It will be launched on a first-come, first-served basis on the 1st of November in 4 locations across the globe.
Phase 1 is under construction now, and our launch is this weekend, so that's moving well. Dubai's target is the world. I mean, with 200 nationalities living in the city, you really look at the world to help you achieve your target. So we have no specific way, but we've chosen certain cities: London, Moscow, Saudi Arabia, with UAE. Which the next launch probably we'll choose Kuala Lumpur, Lagos, and some other cities.
Abu Dhabi Ports Company expects to receive nearly 25% more cruise ships and a 16% rise in passenger visits to the capital this season compared with last year, following the issuance of multiple entry visas to the UAE. According to local reports, this year ADPC expects 93 ships to call at Zayed Port, up from 75 last season, carrying about 220,000 passengers, up from 189,709 that arrived last year. In Dubai, cruise tourist numbers reached at least 300,000 in the previous season. Recently, the UAE introduced a new multiple entry visa costing 200 dirhams, which is expected to make travel between the UAE and neighbouring countries easier, in addition to removing a significant barrier for the industry's development, according to industry insiders. Tourists can now enter the UAE through any of its airports, continue on a cruise out of its ports and come back to the Emirates on the same visa. Abu Dhabi Ports Company expects a steady increase in cruise tourists over the next few years, with estimates of around 130 ships and 300,000 passengers to call on Abu Dhabi in the 2019-20 season. Cruise tourism features prominently in the capital's plans, and as part of this, a cruise passenger terminal is set to open in 2016, which will be able to handle 3 vessels simultaneously and cope with up to 2,500 passengers. And Etihad Airways have commenced daily non-stop flights between Abu Dhabi and Phuket, the airline's second destination in Thailand. Situated off the west coast of Thailand, Phuket is a top-ranking destination for holidaymakers around the world. James Hogan, the President and Chief Executive Officer of Etihad Airways, was quoted as saying that the new Phuket route is a natural expansion of the airline's Thai network and a strong addition to its portfolio of leisure destinations such as the Seychelles, Maldives and Sri Lanka. Phuket is one of the 10 new routes launched or to be launched by Etihad Airways this year and will be serviced by a 2-class Airbus A330-200 aircraft. The UAE's 2 mobile phone service providers continue to lose customers for the third successive month, although the GSM penetration ratio of nearly 200% remained one of the world's highest, according to official data. From around 17.4 million at the end of July, figures from the UAE Telecommunication Regulatory Authority showed that the total number of mobile phone subscribers registered with Etisalat and Du dropped to 16.857 million at the end of August, a decline of 147,100 in just 1 month. The latest decline brought to nearly 332,000 the total market loss during June to August, with experts stating that it was one of the biggest GSM market losses since the UAE introduced mobile phone services in the 1980s. According to local reports, TRA did not mention the cause of the decline, but its figures showed the GSM penetration ratio in the UAE remained one of the world's highest, standing at nearly 200% at the end of August. Additionally, a breakdown showed most of the decline was in the prepaid GSM service, which lost nearly 153,000 customers in August to reach 14.455 million, compared with 14.608 million at the end of July. The figures showed that there was a slight rise in the other GSM service. Global markets were largely unchanged last week, moving in a sideways range with a slight US dollar bias. The US dollar index, a measure of the value of the US dollar against a basket of currencies, was at 0.58% on the week, with the euro, dollar, gold and Dow Jones all closing the week marginally lower. The recent bull run in the US dollar seems to have stalled as markets wait for the upcoming FOMC rate decision due out this week. With the FOMC largely expected to conclude its QE3 program this week, markets will be searching more for upcoming clues as to how the FOMC perceive future US interest rate hikes. So to talk more about this and to gauge the week ahead, we earlier spoke to Gaurav Kashyap, the head of futures at Al Pari Middle East.
Well, we've seen a bit of more sideways action in trading last week as the US dollar was unable to make any more gains following some better than expected results coming out of Europe. Now, if we look at the latest European Central Bank stress tests, it showed that predominantly most of the major European bank lenders were well capitalized, with only a small amount of $6.5 billion which was remained unaccounted for, which basically means that they have enough capital to cover these shortfalls. This has seen a little bit of risk sentiment coming back into the euro against the US dollar. We're expecting the euro to hold support at 1.26 levels this week against the US dollar. Overall, we will be watching for the all-important FOMC rate decision on Wednesday. That'll carry on to Thursday as well. During this meeting, we can expect the FOMC to successfully conclude its QE3 program, winding down their asset purchases per month from 15 billion to 0. We're not expecting any major rate changes, but what will be coming after that is going to be more influential on the performance of the US dollar in the weeks and months ahead. Now, a lot of the markets have been cutting back some of their expectations of a rate hike sooner than later. This could see a little bit more weakness coming into the US dollar and could stall the current bull run we're expecting in the US dollar. So we will wait for Wednesday and Thursday's announcement to see what impact that would have on the US dollar. So overall markets, particularly the US dollar, will trade in range in the lead up to that announcement. and we could see some volatility coming back after that. Also this week we have the US GDP reading that's expected to come in at 3%, but more importantly we will be watching for the personal spending number due out on Friday. Now remember, we need to see some successful gains in the personal spending, which shows that the end consumers in the US are in fact spending, and the US GDP reading as a result is more accurate. So if we look at the Indian markets, also the Indian rupee has come in for a bit of a nice boost. This is on the back of a weakening US dollar. Earlier we saw the finance minister Arun Jaitley call for lower rates on the back of slowing inflation. Once again, we've seen energy prices fall globally. This has had a very positive impact on the Indian markets, and once again we can expect the Indian rupee to target a range between 163.50 and 164.50 in the week ahead on DGCX. But overall markets will remain sideways with a slightly positive move against the US dollar in the week ahead.